That decision was announced just about an hour ago.
Our newsroom has been busy looking at it and processing it. Here's what we know. Donald Trump has been ordered to pay $355 million in fines. He is banned from doing business in New York State for 3 years. His sons, Eric and Donald Jr., are banned from doing business in the state for 2 years. News 4's Erica Byfield live outside Trump Tower with more on the breaking developments. Erica?
Yeah, well, David, you would be able to see Trump Tower, but obviously there's a bus here behind me at the moment. So what we're talking about is a huge blow to Donald Trump and everything that he crafted for himself as a real estate mogul, not only here in the state, but around the world. So we're talking about something that is impacting his ego tonight. It's also impacting his pocketbook. And so this is what we know at this point. Take a look at some of the video that we have of some of the properties that he has. We're talking about other landmarks in addition to Trump Tower. We're talking about 40 Wall Street, Trump International Hotel and Tower near Central Park, and Trump World Tower near the United Nations. We're still waiting a formal reaction from the former president himself, but his legal team is already signaling tonight. They say they're going to appeal this decision, so we know that he's going to face that fine that you were talking about. Let's talk about the trial for a little bit. There were 7 counts in this case. The judge ruled on the top one, fraud, before this trial began. Justice Arthur Engoron found that Donald Trump inflated his wealth on financial statements that his employees gave to banks, insurers, and others to make deals and secure loans. Today's decision deals with the other 6 counts that relate to allegations of conspiracy, falsifying business records, and insurance fraud. I sat through this entire trial, including the day that Donald Trump testified on the stand. That was November 6th. From there, he said that all of the claims were not true, and he said that this case was political in nature. From the stand, he decided to attack the judge, and he also attacked New York's Attorney General, Tish James. That trial lasted about 2.5 months, and prosecutors claimed throughout it that Trump exaggerated his wealth by as much as $3.6 billion. They said that by doing that, he saved himself a lot of money. By one estimate, when it came to insurance payments alone, they said that figure was $168 million. As you said, David, another massive part of this sentence is that he's now banned from doing business here in the state for 3 years. And when it comes to his 2 oldest sons, they're banned for 2 years.
A lot of the outcome here will depend on their ability to continue doing business in the city. I think over the next couple of days, we'll have a better idea of the ability of the organization to continue operating. Certainly the difficulty in obtaining new financing, the difficulty in, will present a real challenge for them in continuing to operate over the course of the next couple of years. What that means for whether or not there's a strategic decision to liquidate, to sell assets in the city in particular, I think is something we'll see over the next couple of days once we have a better understanding of where the proceeds, where the cash will come from to actually support the penalty.
So this afternoon, a Trump family attorney said this verdict is a manifest injustice, plain and simple. She went on to say, let me make one thing perfectly clear. This is not just about Donald Trump. If this decision stands, it will serve as a signal to every single American that New York is no longer open for business. Donald Trump at this hour is in Florida. We are hearing from members of his campaign that he could speak on camera later today about this issue. Of course, as soon as that happens, we'll bring you that information. Live outside of Trump Tower, Erica Byfield, News 4. New York.
Okay, thanks for walking us through that, Erica. Let's take a closer look in the short term and longer term what this means for Trump and the Trump organization. News 4's Chris Glorioso also followed the case from the beginning, and he has more on that angle of the story. Chris?
Well, you can think of the questions this way. What's next for Trump financially? What's next for Trump politically? And what is next for Trump's legacy in New York? His entire life has been shaped by wealth and power built on real estate. There's now a very real question of who will oversee the real estate portfolio that made him a household name. Judge Engoron's civil fraud decision takes direct aim at Donald Trump's business legacy, and it raises immediate questions about how the Trump organization can operate going forward. A 3-year ban on Trump himself running New York businesses is one thing, but Trump is a 77-year-old man running for president. The real impact may be the 2-year ban on Don Jr. and Eric Trump leading New York businesses, even though the penalties are sure to be appealed.
And the liability, I think, is going to stick here. There was fraud. The question is, how bad is the punishment? How high does that dollar figure go?
No matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law.
Another question is just how hard this decision hits Donald Trump's wallet. The financial penalty is not going to eliminate his wealth, But it's also not entirely clear how liquid Trump's fortune is. Before the judge's decision, analysts surmised Trump could have to sell assets if the penalty approached $370 million sought by the state. The Attorney General got more than $360 million in penalties.
If you see it above $325 million, I think it's a five-alarm fire for the Trump organization. They would have to do sort of major restructuring, but I do think that they'd be able to come through it. If you get all the way up to 370, he's going to be in real trouble. I do think that he will be able to survive, but it's going to take a whole lot of work to make that happen.
And then there is the question of how this significant ruling impacts Trump politically. During the trial, the former president routinely attacked the judge and his staff. He was subject to a partial gag order and fined for violating it.
And now I have to come in here and justify myself and have crowds of people waiting on the street. It's a disgrace. New York hates you.
But despite protesters outside his deposition and his trial, Donald Trump successfully leveraged his grievance against the justice system to motivate support from his political base.
These are political operatives that I'm going to be dealing with right now. You have a racist attorney general who...
Up until now, Trump has maintained state lawyers are grossly underestimating the value of his real estate portfolio. Ironically, if Trump has to sell any of his properties to help cover this penalty, we would see what those properties are worth right now. In a statement minutes ago, the Trump Organization called this a miscarriage of justice and an overreach into the private transactions of businesses. Back to you.